Hello and welcome to a live Deprogrammed with Keri Smith. I'm your host, Keri, and it is it is late. It is 3 o'clock Central, but thank you for being here. We're doing it just a little bit late. We're doing it late. What's the Bill O'Reilly clip? Anyway, I appreciate you being here. Today is kind of a somber day, because I've seen a lot of people, if you're online anyway, you can't help but have noticed that today is would have been the 5th wedding anniversary of Charlie and Erika Kirk. And I don't think our country has really processed yet what happened to him. His brutal murder, ripping him away from his wife, his children, from the country, from all the good he's done in the country and working with youth. And we're still processing that. And in the ensuing 8 months, has almost been this distraction that happened because when he originally was murdered, there was this revival atmosphere and God was using it for good. Like in that scripture, God can use all things for good, or you intended to harm me, but God intended it for good. You know that verse? And there was this, and there still is, there are still people I'm talking to who have started going to church for the first time, who got their first Bible, who just became a Christian, who accepted Jesus as their Lord and Savior. Like this is happening. There's this low-key revival going on. But at least in terms of the national conversation, that kind of got put to bed with all of this disgusting, well, first it was the disgusting leftist rhetoric about Charlie and all just the horrible lies and defamation and libel and stuff that they say about him that happened in the aftermath. I'm sure many of you guys encounter people like that. I encountered a lot of them online, people who have no idea what he believed. Have never watched a video of his. They don't know anything about him, but they think they have all these opinions about him. So there was a lot of that. There was a lot of the worst parts of the left taking off its mask and showing itself to the world after he was murdered. So the avarice, the greed, the resentment, the envy, the malice, the nihilism, the contempt, like all of the just darkest, most demonic parts of the left came out into full view for a while. And then immediately after that, or around while that was still happening, we started getting all of these fake rights and narcissists and sociopaths, um, who pretend to be on the right, who do a good job of grifting anyway, who started revealing their true natures. And it's interesting because even when you go through something, it's interesting to watch like the country as we're moving through the wake of something very evil, of this evil, horrific murder, this evil, horrific act. Even in the wake of that, and even when when people are being revealed to be wicked, utterly wicked and depraved, even in that, God is working because he's using it to rip the mask off of people. Like he's shedding a light in the dark places. And wouldn't you rather know? I would rather know. And so for the past 8 months, um, we've just seen this onslaught of disgusting character assassination, libel, slander, gossip, just the most vile, false accusations not supported by any facts or evidence, just on a level that I don't think we've ever witnessed. Like the largest scale example of malignant narcissism and cluster B behavior that we've ever seen. All of it targeted at Charlie Kirk, at Charlie's wife, at Erika, at his friends, at his family, his pastors, his organization, his legacy, his memory, all of it directed there. And if you've been watching this happen, maybe it's the first time, maybe this is the best lesson you've ever had in cluster B reputation destruction and gang stalking and harassment, but maybe this is the best class you've ever had on it, because you can watch how they wrap people up in it with them. Like I saw today on X, some woman who just woke up from the Candace cult, for example, and posted this apology. It seemed like a very sincere, heartfelt apology, just an open public apology saying, "I'm sorry, Erika. I'm sorry. I got caught up in slandering someone and spreading gossip and slander about someone I don't even know. I'm sorry." And it makes you want to cry to see that someone recognizes the weight of what they were doing, of what they were being used for. They recognize that. And so I think you're going to start to see a lot more of that, of people who are waking up and realizing what they've been used for. But gosh, isn't it crazy to watch ordinary people, I put that in quotes, ordinary people get caught up in this kind of predator's campaign of destruction? It makes me think of the book Ordinary Men, which I've talked about before. We read that for book club a few years ago, on the recommendation of Jordan Peterson. It was his recommended reading list, and it was about how ordinary men, ordinary police reserve officers got wrapped up in the Holocaust, like got wrapped up in murder, mass murder, and how do ordinary people get recruited to do the bidding of evil? We're witnessing it around us on a different scale. It's reputation destruction, but it's damaging nonetheless. Like, the whole intent of it is to destroy everything about Charlie and Erika, like his whole legacy, his family, everything. Um, and it's rooted in evil, and the people who participate in it, I'm sorry, I don't care if you're one of the gullible ones and you just have terrible discernment and terrible judgment. You're responsible for your behaviors. You're an adult, so you're participating in evil. Um, anyway, all that being said, we've seen that happen for 8 months, and then to be reminded today online that this was what would have been their 15th anniversary, and I saw some people who were sharing about that, and then Erika shared something about it. So I just wanted to play this, and I thought we could use this opportunity to share some of the best clips from Charlie and Erika. I think some of the best clips have to do with the things he always talked about. Obviously, faith first and foremost, faith, family, and freedom, the country, right? Faith, family, freedom. And we're going to look at those because he always brought up, he never wasted an opportunity to talk about Jesus, and he did it in just such a sincere way. Um and it's the same with Erika. They both, it's just a part of it's, you can tell there's very few people, I think, in the public eye who are sincere, who are authentic. And these are two people who you can tell were sincere. Like, they actually lived what they believed. They didn't just say they believe certain things. They showed you with the way they lived. They showed you with their behaviors. So he wasn't just someone out talking about like the importance of marriage. He showed you in his marriage. Um, so we're going to take a look at that. So I wanted to show you this old clip first of all. Well, this is an old post actually. Oh, this is so sad. This is from a year ago today, and it was Charlie Kirk sharing the photo that I put on the thumbnail of the two of them together on stage somewhere, probably at a TPUSA event with the smoke and the lights. Like, he was a big fan of pyrotechnics and having fun and celebration, um and you can just see that not just in the environment in the photo, like where they are, but on their faces, just full of excitement. And he says today marks 4 years of being married to Miss Erika Kirk, second to following Jesus. It's the best decision I've ever made. She is bold, smart, loyal, and beautiful. Happy anniversary, Erika. I love you. And people were sharing what she wrote last year to mark this occasion as well. And it it's a sad thing. This is a video that she shared today. I cannot imagine being in this situation. It's just hard to fathom. So she says, even though our kids won't see our love grow old together from an earthly standpoint, they'll see it from a heavenly one. And I'll tell them of our love story any moment I can. Happy anniversary to So I'm just going to play this little clip, and then we're going to watch some of them sharing opinions about faith, family, and freedom. And maybe there'll be some leftists who join us today. I know I've gotten a lot of hateful messages from leftists on Facebook lately. Maybe some of them will join us and get to hear Charlie in his own words for the first time instead of just saying what they've been told they're supposed to say or think about him.
Yeah, I want to show you some pictures of Mommy and Daddy, and I'm going to tell you a story.
So once upon a time, there was a little girl named Mama and Dada, and they loved each other very much. Mommy and Daddy wanted to have a family together. Kiki and her baby brother. They wrote Mama and Daddy's word story.
Yeah, look at this one. Isn't he so sweet? How amazing Daddy is.
I love you so much, Daddy. I miss you, Dada.
I love you.
I love you too, babe.
It's just, yeah, it's just sad. Okay. But we're not staying sad today. We're going to watch some clips. I am so grateful for Charlie Kirk. As I said, being in this commentary space, having been to some of the conferences that people go to when they're speaking or they offer commentary, and having met a lot of people who are in the commentary space. When I first started doing a podcast, it was probably 2017. It was almost 10 years ago now. It was before there were as many of them as there are now. And I was just leaving the woke cult, which I had been in for almost 20 years. And I was really kind of naive at the beginning. And I've talked about this, you guys know, with my friend Mike Harlow before, because we kind of met each other around that time. And I had this Pollyanna view of, I just thought it, especially at that time, because there was a lot of cost to speaking against woke ideology. There was a lot of consequence. It wasn't a career opportunity to do so. It was quite the opposite. It was like career ending to do so. And so I just, as it became easier to the social consequences, while they're still there, they're not as grand, right? Not as great. It became easier to speak against woke, and you started to see a lot more people doing it. And I just kind of had this Pollyanna attitude at first, that I was just going to assume that everybody had good intent and was sincere. And that's not the case. Lo and behold, all these years later, it's like, oh, just like anywhere, Jesus says Jesus said the path is narrow, and guess what? That means almost every field, the path is narrow. There are a lot of fakes, there are a lot of frauds, there are a lot of people who put something other than God in that top position. And a lot of times what's in that position for them would be fame, money, clicks, willing to do anything for it. And just say anything, and to just do to launch a reputation destruction campaign against someone that who you're pretending was your friend. Stuff like that. It's just gross. There's a lot of grossness. All that being said, I am so grateful for the Kirks, for Charlie and Erika Kirk, because they are two of the very few, very rare examples of sincerity that you see on the public stage, and in the commentary space. And so we're going to start with this clip. Speaking of faith, this is a great clip. Charlie was always willing to defend the Christian roots of our country, of our country's founding, and he did so better than anyone. And there are so many of these that I could play, but let's just start with this one.
I articulated yesterday by a couple of my friends that our country was not founded on Christian principles. Our country was founded on common law, because the Declaration only refers to God 4 times, and the Constitution doesn't refer to God at all. And it only articulates the structure of government.
Remember that we were a collection of states and colonies, and you need to read the state constitutions before anything else. 9 out of 13 of the original states required you to be a Bible-believing Christian to serve in government at the time of the founding. You could even in actually 13 out of 13 required a declaration of faith. 9 out of 13 required you to be a Protestant, except Maryland, which was Catholic, which still required a declaration of faith. In almost every single one of the original state constitutions, Pennsylvania included, they had, I profess Lord and Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior in the original state constitutions. So you remember, we're a collection of states before that. Secondly, 55 out of 56 of the original signers of the Declaration were Bible-believing, church-attending Christians. You asked about common law. So common law is inherited from Blackstone, who was Christian. Common law is an outgrowth of the scriptures. So let's go to 3 principles of common law: presumption of innocence, due process, and jury of your peers. All 3 are biblical principles. So, and all wrapped into the ultimate biblical principle that you shall not favor justice if you are rich or poor, which is in Leviticus 19, right before the most famous part of Leviticus 19, which is that you should love your neighbor as yourself. But before that is that in the administration of justice, you shall not favor the rich or the poor, which is the idea of blind justice. We get that in the West, which is incorporated also in the New Testament ideal: neither slave nor Greek nor Jew, you're all one in Jesus Christ, which we get the idea of human equality. These are all biblical ideas. They're not Enlightenment ideas, which is they kind of get conflated at the time. But more importantly than that, they say that God was only mentioned 4 times in the Declaration of Independence. Well, that's a big deal, okay? Laws of nature and nature's God. The last paragraph of the Declaration reads as a prayer. It says, we appeal to the supreme judge of the universe. Who's the judge of the universe? Jesus Christ, as it says in Revelation, that Jesus will judge the earth on his throne. So in the Declaration, they were praying to Christ our Lord as a prayer very specifically. Thirdly, as I said on stage yesterday, Deuteronomy was by far the most quoted book, religious or non-religious, in the time of the founding when they were putting together the Constitution, more than John Locke, more than Montesquieu, more than Blackstone. So the book of Deuteronomy, which talked about laws, customs, traditions. It was Moses' farewell address as he's about to say goodbye, say, hey, good luck in Canaan, guys. Here's how you should set up your form of government. But finally, and most importantly, let's look at actually what the founders said. John Adams famously said the Constitution was only written for a moral and religious people. It was wholly inadequate for the people of any other. The body politic of America was so Christian and was so Protestant that our form and structure of government was built for the people that believed in Christ our Lord. One of the reasons we're living through a constitutional crisis is that we no longer have a Christian nation, but we have a Christian form of government, and they're incompatible.
That's one of the most important parts. I'm going right back to the video. I just want to say, when talking, and one of the biggest realizations I had about our company's founding and why things our country's founding and why things are falling apart now or lately, or it seems to be, is that people have fallen away from God. And as he talked about the Adams quote, our country was founded, our system of government works only for a moral people. Well, what does that mean? The more you think about it, it's like, because only a moral people would also believe in self-governance, like where there's a certain degree of self-governance, and the government is supposed to stay out of. Like the Bill of Rights is basically a list of things the government can't do to us, because we are supposed to be able to self-govern. We're supposed to have liberty, freedom, independence. Otherwise, if you can't have some degree of self-governance, which is only possible with a moral people, then you get people arguing on behalf of tyranny. That's when you get the population arguing on behalf of tyranny, because they want protection. They want a strong man to come in and be an authoritarian and a tyrannical figure, because things have gotten so far out of control and so chaotic, because no one's self-governing anymore. And I would argue, if you look at the cities, for example, you can see some of that happening there already. You can see what happens when things fall apart, right? When there's this lack of accountability and responsibility that comes with a moral people. Like there's this lack of self-governance, what's called, a low trust society versus a high trust society. A lot of the cities are now low trust environments. They're low trust civilization. They're not high trust. And so I think that's like one of the most important realizations, is that John Adams quote about how our country, our system of government, our very system of government was designed with Christians in mind, with a moral people in mind. That's who it works for. It's going to be, like he said, woefully inadequate for anyone else.
You cannot have liberty if you do not have a Christian population. So that's just a surface level belief. So then they'll go to the First Amendment, which has two parts of the First Amendment which get conflated. First of all, separation of church and state is not in the U.S. Constitution. That is a single letter that Thomas Jefferson wrote in 1807 to the Danbury Baptist Convention in Massachusetts, assuring them that the government would not come after the church. Okay?
Just a quick second, acknowledging that our government was founded on Christian principles, which it was, and that it was designed by the founders, like our system of government was designed for a moral people, is not religious tyranny. John Bertram, somebody in the chat, I think it was you, somebody was saying like, "Oh, believe what we believe or else." Well, where are you getting that from? I mean, you have religious liberty because you live in a Christian country. A Christian country is what allows for liberty. It's what allows for freedom. It's what allows for you to choose. It makes no sense. There's nothing, being tyrannical is the exact opposite of being Christian. Like those two things don't go together. And that's how anytime somebody is claiming to be a Christian and they're behaving in ways that are antithetical to Christianity, big red flag that they're a false shepherd, like they're not what they claim to be. It's like somebody saying they're vegetarian while they eat meat. It doesn't make any sense. So if you appreciate religious freedom, which I think most people who've grown up in the West do, I mean, you have Christianity to thank for that.
Which is the opposite of what they would say. However, that was then resurrected by the Warren Court and the Burger Court in the 60s, where they said, hey, all of a sudden, we're now going to make this as if it's the Constitution. It does say in the Constitution two things, which is the Establishment Clause and the Free Expression Clause. The Establishment Clause is that Congress shall make no law prohibiting the free exercise thereof. What they were most worried about was a Presbyterian or a Anglican or a Quaker type religion taking over the federal government. Instead, it was that there is not going to be a state-run religion or a state-run government. Did you know that one of the first acts of Congress was taxpayer-funded Bible printing and distribution? Did you know that there were church services held in the Supreme Court building as late as the Jackson presidency in the 1820s? But going back to this idea of separation of church and state, and again, I could riff on this ad nauseum because it's just so ridiculous, right? Is that it's not biblical because first, it's not biblical. It's not constitutional because you go a layer deeper. People that even say that, do you believe in separation of morality and state? Nobody does. So all laws are a reflection of morality, and all morality comes from somewhere. There is no such thing as neutral morality. And we believe what the founders believed because they put it in the halls of Congress, they put it in the Supreme Court, and they put it all throughout the country, which is that the Decalogue, the 10 Commandments, is the core morality of how a society and a civilization should exist, right? The 10 Commandments of every person. And finally, and this is the kicker, if the founding fathers were not Bible-believing church-saying Christians, why did they put Leviticus on the Liberty Bell? Not John, not Psalms, not Proverbs, not Genesis, Leviticus. Most Americans can't spell Leviticus. Leviticus 25:19, proclaim liberty throughout the land of which you are in. It is one of the most sinister, most unsubstantiated lies that does not come up against any sort of academic scrutiny. This idea that founding fathers were a bunch of Enlightenment common law deists. The reason they hate it is because the reason they must say this is that if we actually go back to our Christian roots and we go back to where we once were, it's America's best hope for revival and for a great future.
Okay, that's a great one. I've got one. I want to bring up one of the two of them together. This is Charlie and Erika Kirk talking about family. So that was a clip about faith and about our founding. So that was a little bit about faith and freedom, actually. And I'm going to show one about the two of them. That also includes family. And this one is from about a year ago from Charlie's channel. Here we go.
Everyone, very special hour episode for you today. My wife joins us, Erika Kirk,
Hi,
the
everyone.
beautiful, legendary Erika.
I love you so much.
I love you.
You're my best friend.
Welcome to the Charlie Kirk Show.
Thanks, babe. I'm stoked.
So we
It's good to be back. It's been a while.
we have asked the audience for questions.
Yes.
And-
They came up with some great ones.
Well, there were some not so great ones too that Daisy had too. There were some X-rated ones too, weren't there, Daisy?
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, not good. Not radio appropriate.
Got
Not
it.
appropriate for anybody. It was I don't know. All right, so we are taking your questions and hopefully we'll be able to answer any thoughts that you have.
Great. Do you want to take you choose the first one? I'll pepper in the next one.
All right.
There's a few of them.
Well, this one's easy. How long have you been married and when did you know it was time to get married?
We've been married since 2021,
Mm-hmm.
engaged 2020,
So it'll be 4 years.
4 years. We laugh about this because our dates are so messed up because of babies, meaning there's so many dates to remember.
Mm-hmm. I know. I get all the anniversaries.
Anniversaries, like kids' birth
May
dates.
14th.
Yeah.
August
all the
23rd.
things. How did we? So we've been married for.
How did you know it was
4
time to
years.
get married?
4
I
years.
mean,
almost 4 years in
I
May.
proposed and she said yes.
How did we know? You just know.
It's also don't waste your time, right?
Don't waste your time. And plus, we were ready to start our life together.
That's right. Okay,
that was an easy one.
That's easy. You pick one.
Who is more conservative and why?
Erika.
Yes.
By far. Not even close. I am a moderate compared to Erika.
Andrew always jokes that once you got married to me, you got more based.
That's true. That is true. No, Erika is very conservative. And yeah,
I was raised well.
Yes, you have a great mom.
Great mom.
Great parents.
My grandparents were amazing.
Fiercely right wing.
Yes. My grandfather was an immigrant from Sweden and fought in World War II and the Korean War. Yeah. And he got the Silver Star, the Bronze Star, and knighted by the King of Sweden. And he was always super far right.
Do you think having kids made you more conservative?
100%. Which I didn't think was possible. But 100%. Absolutely.
And do you
and a better wife.
Mm-hmm.
And a better wife.
Do you think that a lot of the fact that young women are liberals because they don't have kids typically?
Young women are liberals because they don't have kids?
I'm asking, yeah.
No, I wouldn't say that, because I have some friends who are still not married and don't have kids, and they're conservative and they're finding it hard to find a mate.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're saying traditionally speaking, like the women who don't have kids are more left-leaning because they choose not to have kids, that's a whole different topic.
Yeah.
Whole different topic.
They consider kids to being
a nuisance, a burden, a nuisance. But no, it's made, but also too, you have to understand, and that also goes back to how do you know it was time to get married? Understanding your biblical role as a wife and a mother, and knowing that you're ready to step into that motherhood, that being a wife, and that type of era of your life, if you will. So
here's a good one. What traits should...
I wanted to jump in on that one. So she was raised conservative. I don't think she ever spent time in the leftist world like I did. And so as someone who was in that leftist world for about 2 decades, I would say, yes, there is an element of the ideology itself, the woke left ideology itself, which is, well, we know Marxism, it's very anti-family, it's very anti-faith, it's anti-God, it's anti all the things that lead to human flourishing and freedom. It's anti anything that is a threat to government tyranny, to oppression. Anything that and faith, a belief in something bigger than the government, is a threat to tyranny. So the nuclear family is an enemy of Marxism. And we saw this in BLM, Black Lives Matter too, when you went into their documents and on their website and everything they had that was against the nuclear family. And they were just very open about it and about their Marxist roots. And this is just a trend. And so I think it's baked into my old belief system on the left. It's baked into it, this sort of upturned nose, like looking down your nose at families and at women who choose to get married and become mothers. And especially in the feminist part of the woke cult, there's this real anti-family sentiment. And so it's just one of many things that you kind of come to accept. It's like a fish, we've talked about, like a fish being in water it's like, what water? You don't see the water. It's what you swim and breathe in and you thrive in, so it's like when you are living and breathing and operating in wokeness and you don't even see it operating around you, it's not until you get out of it that you start to realize that some of the things you thought were your opinions or some of the things you thought about how your life was going to look were all sort of programmed by this belief system. Like, I know people who've gotten out of the woke left, and it's almost like they become a different person because for the first time they're discovering who they are and what's really important in life and what they really want in life and what's meaningful versus what's not. Like, what's meaningful versus what's fluff, what's crap, you know? And what's meaningful is God, family, faith, virtues, like truth, like beauty, things that mean something, that matter. That's what's everlasting. Those are the things that shine even when you're gone. Those are the things that matter. No one is on their no one's ever on their deathbed regretting not participating more in consumerism. You know, like, no one's ever on their deathbed regretting like these small trivial distractions that make up sometimes a large percentage of our day. No one's ever on their deathbed saying, you know, I wish I'd spent more time on Twitter. Like, that's never or people are on their deathbed regretting the big, meaningful, important things. If they didn't do those things, if they didn't try for those things, or at least pursue them, the adventure of trying, right? Of figuring out what matters and pursuing it, like pursuing God with all of your heart, pursuing finding a spouse with all of your heart, pursuing family with all of your heart, like at least trying for the things that matter, right? I'm going to continue.
Conservative women be looking for in men and vice versa?
Ooh. I know one of the questions deals with, do you want to, I was going to go off one of the questions that talked about the apps, but I think women for looking for their future spouse needs to hone in on the fact, is he going to lead you closer to Christ or further away? Make sure you're equally yoked. That's so important. Make sure that you are not looking for a man who, or, you know, the men that are just, they're grabbing the low hanging fruit, meaning on the apps. Women get upset when they go on a date with a guy they found on an app and all of a sudden they ghost them, or all of a sudden they're just not communicating with them anymore. To me, it's because the guy didn't have to hunt for them. Not saying they have to hunt for a woman, but they do have to seek out a wife. And since they didn't have to, they made it so easy on an app to just press a button. It's just a number in their head. Like, you want to be so much more than, I'm not saying apps are bad. I mean, they're not the greatest thing. I've had friends who did find their significant other on an app, but the likelihood, it's like the lottery. The likelihood of you finding your future husband or wife on an app is a lot less likely to happen. So that to say, I'm so
What
blessed.
traits?
It's so hard because I literally won the jackpot with my
Oh.
husband.
Vice versa.
That's
Likewise.
really hard.
I will say women should look for men that have self-control, and men should look for women that are willing to submit, which is basically a non-feminist woman.
Right. But the whole topic of submission becomes, that word really lights people on fire.
It's biblical.
I know.
I mean, women
It's
should.
beautiful.
Wives.
Marriage in the right context is so beautiful because your husband will give up anything and everything for you in a healthy manner, but they will literally love you and honor you and cherish you above all, and put all the noise aside and focus on wife, children, family.
Daisy says there were quite a number of questions on submission. So dive more into that.
Okay, so this for she's so right, non-believers, and I was one of these. I was one of these feminist non-believers, like totally woke, who would hear the stuff about submission out of context and be like, "Oh, it's so sexist. It's so this. It's so that." It's not. It's in a section of the Bible that talks about how men need to love their wife like as themselves, like love their wife as Christ loves the church, like this self-sacrificing love, as she mentions, like will do anything, like put their wife above everything except for God. And that if a man is doing that, if a husband is honoring what the Bible tells him to do, And the woman is also honoring what the Bible tells women to do, which is to submit to your husband as the church submits to Christ. Like, he's the leader of the home. That can only be, even pragmatically, you can't have two different captains. There's not two different leaders in a home. Like, there's always going to have to be someone who steps into that role when it's necessary, not in every interaction, but when it's necessary. Like, it's just pragmatically, it just makes sense. It's just prescriptive. It's descriptive, not prescriptive. And so there's so much, I don't know, just like this feminist angst and anger over that. But the older I get, the more I start to realize, like, a lot of God's law, like his natural law, is, you can see it in nature. Like, you see it, it is descriptive. You can see it playing out in the way that we are designed. And if you think about, I went to school for biological anthropology and anatomy. That was my major at the time. I was studying evolution, and I was studying primates, and I had a certificate in primatology. And obviously, a lot of what I took classes on hunters and gatherers as part of my major. I was at Duke University. We had the world renowned primate center, and it was all built around this view of looking at the humanity, looking at the past through the lens of evolution, right, instead of creation. And even if you look at it through the lens of evolution, even if you look at it through that lens instead of the lens of creation, women, we are not the larger of the species. We are the ones who were built because of our biology and our very nature. Typically would be staying at home, taking care of the baby. First of all, the baby is, developing for 9 months, that you're at home. And as you're getting larger and it's becoming more cumbersome to go out and to do things, you're not the hunter and the hunter gatherer at that point. Then you're kind of tied to the home once the baby's born. Like, if you're looking at this through the lens of hunter gatherers and evolution, and the woman's body you're not the protector. You're not going out and slaying the saber-toothed tiger. You are staying at home and raising the young. And this is true in primates also, which I studied as part of my major. Like, this is true of every primate. Like, that the longer the gestation of the baby, the longer the time you're going to be spending with that baby in its youth, in its infancy, because the longer it takes to mature. So, for example, like humans, it's a 9-month gestation, and it takes a long time for the baby to mature. Anyway, the point being, this is evident. It's evident in the world around us, in God's very natural law, in the way he designed the world. Or if you don't believe in God and you don't believe in natural law, it's evident in what you are calling evolution, in the way we evolved to be in our bodies. So it's just strange to me now, looking back at how much I used to get so upset about that word submission, like she's talking about. And it's just strange to me now, because I don't have that feeling about it anymore. It's not like this angsty faux victim thing. And it's hard to put myself back in that place and to remember why. If there's a feminist, if there's a woke leftist person who wants to explain what it is, like, try and make an argument for why it is oppressive to women to submit to your husband, that might be helpful. Feel free to do that in the comments. Feel free to do that.
For me as a wife, my biblical role is to be the helpmate to my husband. That does not mean I'm less than you. That does not mean that I am above you. Thank goodness. I love that you lead our home. I love that you are you are so intentional with your faith, and you are so intentional with just how you are as a father and a husband. But as a wife, I am to, quote unquote, submit to you, which is a beautiful word, by the way, because that's the order of how it's supposed to go, and God will bless that. I am not to try and rival you. We're on the same team. We complement each other. The body, an eye is supposed to be an eye to see. It's not, you can't expect an ear to see. There's certain things within the body that operate how it's supposed to be, similar to marriage. I am the wife. I am in charge of certain things, guardian of the home, helping with the children, help. That is so I can make it easy for my husband to do what he needs to do. There's a balance there. It's not, and then you get into the people who are saying, well, my husband's abusive. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the beautiful sacred marriage of when you are at the altar, you become one with your spouse. And the problem is that I feel as if some women, after they have children, they lose that fire that they got at the altar, that fiery spirit of this is the man I've been praying for. And they get burned out because of the kids or because of circumstances. And then it's like, oh, submitting to my husband, that sounds exhausting. It's supposed to be liberating. It's supposed to be freeing. You are in charge of what you're in charge of. Your husband's in charge of what he's in charge of. And it's supposed to be a beautiful marriage of a teamwork and symbolic within biblical marriage and symbolic within how God and Jesus and everything, just your whole faith is supposed to operate. So submission's a beautiful,
It
a
says
beautiful
submit
thing.
as Christ submitted. That submit to your husbands as. I have to look at the exact verse. But,
Husbands, yeah.
Husbands submit to
Ephesians
Christ,
5.
Yeah.
So the other thing is that I think a lot of feminists and actually a lot of these like woke right Neanderthals take this to mean that women don't do any kind of work, which is ridiculous. That's not in scripture. And because the husband is the leader, I like the way she's talking about it as, he is the leader in the home and you're a unit, like you are one flesh, you complement each other. And when it's working the way God prescribes, which does not include the outliers, the people who aren't following the way God prescribes, like abusive husbands, for example. No, you don't submit to an abusive husband. He's not holding up his end of the commandment of what God said for a husband to do. So I just wanted to show you this part of Proverbs 31 about the proverbial wife, and look at all that she does. It's like the wife of noble character, a wife of noble character who can find. She is worth far more than rubies. Her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. She selects wool and flax and works with eager hands. She is like the merchant ships, bringing her food from afar. She gets up while it is still night and provides food for her family and portions for her female servants. She considers a field and buys it. Like she just goes out and buys this land, right? She considers a field and buys it. Out of her earnings, she plants a vineyard. She sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong from her tasks. She sees that her trading is profitable. She's trading. She's buying land. She's planting a vineyard, like she sees that her trading is profitable and her lamp does not go out at night. In her hand, she holds the distaff and grasps the spindle with her fingers. She opens her arms to the poor and extends her hands to the needy. When it snows, she has no fear for her household, for all of them are clothed in scarlet. She makes coverings for her bed. She is clothed in fine linen and purple. Her husband is respected at the city gate, where he takes his seat among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them. She sells things, like she does all kinds of work, right? And supplies the merchants with sashes. She is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. She watches over the affairs of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children arise and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. Many women do noble things, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Honor her for all that her hands have done, and let her works bring her praise at the city gate. That's the proverbial wife. That's Proverbs 31, 10 through 31. And John Bertram says, "Where do I meet her?" John Bertram, you might meet her at church. I know you're not gonna like this as one of our atheist friends, but you might meet her at church. Maybe you should visit one. Seriously, maybe, who knows? But yes, it's just the first time that passage like struck me, that I really sat with it and thought about it, and it just it was kind of eye-opening, because you hear so much in the culture about, whether it's from the woke left or the woke right, all this stuff about women, and lately the woke left, all these fake right-wing people on X who, they're like, shut up, woman, and woman never say anything, and just all this dumb stuff. And that's not what the Bible says. Like, look at how industrious this wife is. But she's doing it as a compliment to her husband. She's doing it with her husband as leader. She is honoring not just God, but her husband with her works, with her industriousness, with her conscientiousness. And that's what we are called to strive to be, is that we are called, as women, we're called to strive to be that. That is the example set for us, right? So, oh, John Bertram says about church, nice try. Hey, I'm serious. Juanie says, haha, I'm serious though. I know some people who started off going to church to try and meet someone of, good character, and ended up becoming Christian. So who knows? Who knows? There you go. I just want to thank quickly Superbased for hanging out with us today. Superbased, who gifted 10 memberships. You're always, just thank you so much for supporting the channel. You're always supporting, you're always giving memberships, and I appreciate you. And you also gave a super chat and says, for Charlie and Erika. Yeah. 5 years. Today would have been their 5-year anniversary. I just can't imagine. I can't imagine. Can you put yourself in that situation? Like being in those shoes? I cannot. It's too much kind of to comprehend. So, okay, I want to play a little bit more of this where they're talking about faith and family. And then I have a clip of Charlie talking to young men, which is really good.
I mean, I've never found obviously any problem with it, but do you think that most women struggle with it? Here it is. Yes. Submit to one another out of reverence for Christ.
Mhm.
This submits that both husband and wives are called to serve and prioritize each other's needs.
Mhm.
Do you think that most women struggle with it because of a kind of feminist mentality that has seeped in?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I feel as if Christianity in itself has become semi-feminized from the standpoint of, I know we've talked about this before, the Pinterest Christianity with the little flowers all over the beautiful scripted font, and like making the Bible feminine. And it's not. It's a beautiful not even a story. I mean, it is a story, but it's a beautiful book on how to live your life, and it has nothing to do with being feminine or being masculine. It's all about Jesus. It's all about God. It always leads you back to God, and always leads you back to how you're supposed to live your life biblically. But yeah, women, I think, are offended by that, because they feel as if it makes them lesser than they are, which it makes them feel like they don't have the choice or the voice that they need to have in order to be quote unquote liberated. But that's the exact opposite. When you're in a biblical marriage, you are supported and you're loved, and your viewpoint is just as important. But you have to let your husband lead.
Do you hear a lot of struggle with that topic of submission from women you talk to?
Yes and no. Yes, from the women who are not strong Christians, who are just more of in the world trying to figure out and navigate their marriage based on that standpoint.
Yes.
But I think it goes back to what you were saying. The men need to be prepared to take on that role. That's not a light role to carry,
No, I
being
agree
the
with that.
leader of the home. So I think what happens is men who aren't prepared for that season of life, they leave the metaphorical pants on the ground. And so the women come in and put those pants on because they feel like, I have to be this role. I have to play
Yes.
this role, and I need to be the provider, or I need to, and also too, I think mom guilt falls into it too, of like, I'm not providing for my family. If they worked in the workforce prior and now they're a stay-at-home mom, which is a huge blessing to have that opportunity to raise your babies like that. I think that they feel as if they're comparing their season to other people's. And so that's where I think, you get the moms and wives that are not wanting to submit. But I think the husband needs to always be in a position of understanding his biblical role as well, for that to all.
This just goes to what somebody said in the chat, Bros and Bros says, which is why trust is so important. We need to trust each other for any of this to work. Absolutely. Absolutely. It takes two people to there are two people in a marriage. It takes two people to make this commitment and to submit to one another as to the Lord, which Ephesians 5:21 says, submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. And so, like she said, if it's both. Sometimes it just depends. Like sometimes it's a dynamic where, like she said, he's not leading and the wife is leading, and it's this, they both are working towards the inversion of the commandments, like the inversion of how we're supposed to be living. And then there's a lot of resentment that builds. And you guys know this. Like I'm sure you've seen this in either in relationships you've been in, or relationships of friends, or in forums, or in if you watch any type of relationship advice show like John Deloney I've mentioned before, or Dr. Laura, like you will see this happen over and over, where resentment builds. And a lot of the time, I think that resentment comes because the husband and the wife are not on the same page with how the relationship's going to go. And they don't have like, sometimes it's just like, they're not having those kind of deeper conversations. And maybe that comes with age. I don't know. Although this couple, Charlie and Erika, pretty young comparatively. Jennifer Bennett says the Proverbs 31 wife is goals. She probably won't be like that in her 20s. It takes time. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you have to be patient with each other.
Mesh together. And even if the husband understands it and reminds his wife, or the wife reminds the husband, like, let's pray together. Let's recenter our relationship and marriage to make it healthy and Christ-centered. It's important.
You pick one.
Okay.
I could also talk about more of what women should be looking for, or men should be looking for in women, but
You can.
We kind of talked about that, though. Yeah.
I know. What traits should conservative? What should be?
This is one from that someone just emailed us in, freedom@charliekirk.com.
Oh, really?
Erika, do you ever get hate from Charlie's work? How do you handle it? Charlie, do you ever feel guilt, or do you ever deal with guilt when Erika gets hate? No, I don't.
I honestly, this is how I know God made us for each other, because anytime I do get quote unquote hate, it's the same stuff you get. Like I don't even want to say, it's not even worth saying it or repeating the things that were called or the names that were called. But yes, I do. I've lost family members. I've lost friends, but I actually am kind of grateful that that's happened, because God has pruned my life in a way where I am surrounded in a circle now by people who love us, support us, pray with us, encourage us.
Small, mighty circle.
And that's what I would much rather have, a small, mighty circle than a massive one. It's the people that, that you can trust and pour into. And yes, do I get hate? Bring it.
Oh, this is just so crazy to watch now, thinking about all the hatred that's been lobbed at her for 8 months.
And that's what I would much rather have, a small, mighty circle than a massive one. It's the people that, that you can trust and pour into. And yes, do I get hate? Bring it on.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll have a velvet steel spine by the end of my life. So bring it on. I have nothing to fear.
Gosh, this is prophetic. A steel spine, which she's developed. I don't know. I think it's a testament to their great and sincere faith in God, that just the way she's been able to carry herself in these 8 months, because just to try and imagine it, like having the love of your life, your leader, your partner, the Lord of your home, like ripped from you in such a brutal way, in a public way, and ripped from your children and from your future, like just taken out of your future completely. And then on top of that, to deal with all of the hatred from millions of people you don't know who don't know you. Just this gang stalking, this just force of like the eye of Sauron, like just aimed at you. And people, just these monsters directing it at you. Monsters who claim to have been your husband's friend. Just disgusting, wicked people. And to have the press and everyone just on such a large scale. That's the thing, is I think everyone's been through some degree of wrongdoing at the hands of another person, or character destruction, like the attempt to destroy your character, or to speak lies about you, or wickedness, or any of that. I think everyone's gone through it to some degree, and I've gone through it to a degree as well. And but I cannot imagine the level, the magnitude. That's that she's gone through this, and to hear her say, like, I can suffer, and I know that she does suffer it because of her faith in Christ. I know that she, like those verses about, like, I can do anything through Christ who strengthens me. Like, she is really one of the best examples I've ever seen in my lifetime of somebody who is dealing with that magnitude of hatred in a Christian way, where, I mean, to imagine stepping back and just trying to be above it, and trying to do what the Bible says about being still and letting God fight for you, being still and letting God fight those battles. That's what she's having to do every day. Yeah, it's just a level that I can't quite comprehend.
Yeah, I mean, look, we get a lot of hate, we get a lot of death threats, but just part of life.
It
makes you stronger.
Right.
And honestly, if you are out there and you aren't getting a lot of hate, then
what are you doing?
well, yeah, you're not doing anything that bothers Satan.
Exactly.
You're just being boring. You're probably honestly doing the bidding of the enemy.
Right. So. No, it's true.
Okay. Let's see. Emails freedom@charliekirk.com. Lots of questions coming in from you guys. You want to do the dating app thing? You have
I mean, I kind of touched on it. Yes and no. I used to have stronger ones, but I don't think.
I'm going to switch over to this poem. So I was listening to an interview yesterday in which the person was talking about this poem. It's actually anyway, they were talking about this poem and about this poem being used in schools, and it's the poem "If" by Rudyard Kipling. And I am embarrassed to say that I had never heard this poem until yesterday. So, and it's one of the best, most meaningful poems I think I've heard in the past few years. Like, I'm trying to think of one that compares to it. It's been years since I've heard a poem this meaningful. And I'm going to play this because I think it relates to what we're talking about doing the hard things and doing what matters. And this is read by Sir Michael Caine, which is an extra little treat to get to hear it in his British accent. I know we got some British people in the chat. So here we go.
The Kipling poem is one of my favorites since I was a boy at school. My father read it to me once. And I think it to me as a little boy, it summed up what a man should be. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowances for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies. Or being hated, don't give way to hating.
Gosh, I love this part. It's just being lied about, but don't deal in lies. Being hated, but don't give way to hating. Like, don't let it change you to become whatever evil is being thrown at you. Don't give in to that same evil and start doing that same evil back, right? And also this part about having men doubt you, but giving allowance for their doubting too, like giving them grace.
When all men doubt you, but make allowances for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies. Or being hated, don't give way to hating. And yet, don't look too good nor look too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can hear the truth you've spoken twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools,
If you can hear the truth you've spoken twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools. Gosh, that's great. That's great. Also, yeah, one of the Brits, John Bertram, says, "Oh, Keri, you haven't heard this?" No, I don't know this poem. I know another Kipling poem, but I had never heard this one. We didn't learn this one at my school, not in South Carolina. We learned a lot of Robert Frost, some E.E. Cummings, Emily Dickens.
or watch the things you gave your life for broken, and stoop and build them up with worn-out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at the beginning, and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are done, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 40 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son.
Such a great poem. Okay. I'm going to continue this episode with Erika and Charlie Kirk on today, if you're just joining us, which is would have been their 5th wedding anniversary. And this is a conversation they had about faith and family and building a successful life.
I think as many people are
Do you
on
think
them
there's a
anymore.
difference than like dating apps and like dating services? Are those two different?
I hear dating services are awful. I hear that the ones that are
Prager
out
is
there.
very pro like dating apps and services. He always was.
I mean,
His thought is more options the better.
yeah, but how lazy does that make the man to be able to be? They're presented a binder of women, and they're
Like a Mitt Romney binder full of women.
"Do you want a brunette? Okay, let's go down this Manila
But
folder."
women are becoming notoriously pickier than men, though.
Right.
It's a big problem.
They have a CVS receipt length checklist of what they want.
There is a growing theme that if women are actually grading, they say they're unhappier with the dating pool right now than men.
I could see that.
They say, and part of it, by the way, is
to this point, we've all seen those studies. Women are rating themselves much higher than men are. Like women are overrating themselves on dating apps, like, saying, I think in terms of a catch, I'm a 10 or whatever. And more of them are doing that, and men are more likely to give realistic ratings for themselves. And so women are like overinflating what they think their value is, and then also simultaneously sort of undervaluing who their possible choices are, the men available in the apps. I think some of that has to do with feminist culture and this overselling of women, you're awesome, you can do anything, the future's female, you're the best, men are oppressors, they're terrible, they have toxic masculinity, they have like all this running down of men that's been happening for like 15 years now. I think that's some of what we're seeing. Oh, also, yes, thank you, Dane Dickinson, Emily Dickinson. What did I say? Did I say Dickens? Like Charles Dickens? Sorry. I went to the Candace Owens School of of leering, quality leering. So thank you for correcting me. Okay, here we go.
Incredibly superficial.
But
they
are
say,
men unhappy with the dating pool
no,
of
they
women?
not as unhappy as women.
I think women, you know what's
And some
interesting?
of it's superficial. They say the men aren't attractive. Blah, blah, blah,
I know,
blah.
but I'm thinking about all of the way how we grew up, of how romanticized they made finding your future spouse. Like, you're going to be so in love, you're going to be swept up, and these flowers are going to be flying around you, and you're going to be so like butterflies in your stomach. And so I feel as if when people don't feel that immediately, they're like, oh, this person's not the right one, or they're just, I don't know, I think they're caught up in what they're supposed to. That just, I mean,
is there
it's
like
important,
a
but
Christian Tinder? Does that exist?
I don't know, you have an ad for it.
Well, it's like a matchmaking service, I think.
I don't know if there's a Christian Tinder, but matchmaking services I heard are not the best.
No good?
Yeah.
Oh, it's called Christian Mingle. I don't think they're a sponsor of our thing, right?
No,
Isn't there
not
like
them.
Farmers Connect too?
For farmers?
Yeah, no, I think there's like there's like Mormon Mingle too.
There's Mormon Mingle?
Yeah, no, there's definitely. Yeah, Dallin probably knows all about it. Not anymore. But,
I was gonna say not. It's taken.
Terrell and the gang probably know all about it. No,
Mormon Mingle?
I think there's Mormon Mingle. Yeah. There's also, it's farmersonly.com. That's a thing.
So how do they check to make sure? I guess you have to submit that you have a farm.
You have to show a video of yourself throwing hay around.
Are you serious?
I don't know. It says single in the country ? Oh, there's no way this is ever abused.
I wonder if like a woman is like, you know what, I want that farm life, and so she gets some chickens in the backyard and then shows herself cultivating her mini.
No, I think there definitely is Mormon Mingle. There's something of that variety.
Okay, but apps for dating service. You know what? Ask your local pastor.
What you prioritize is what you get.
Right.
So
I'm looking for my future spouse.
If you prioritize trying to find a spouse, you're much higher likelihood to find one.
But as women, you need to take care of yourself in order to, you can't be looking like Adam Sandler and expect that you're going to.
And men, just figure out ways to make more money. I don't want to say it's not that hard, but if you work hard and apply yourself and obsess, you can make more money and you will be more
But like you say, stop spending money on alcohol, stop playing video games.
Invest in yourself, learn more, be scrappier. I don't want to say it's easy because it's not necessarily easy.
Right.
But it's easy to not be poor if you're a man. You have to make a decision, a conscious choice to not have a poverty mindset.
But what about school debt?
They should have gone to college.
Because college is a scam.
Yeah, I mean, look, men will find a greater pool of women if they increase their income.
Right. What's your favorite memory pre-kids, post-kids?
And by the way, that's not just to like attract or a spouse. That's also like self-improvement, learning how to be productive and to be successful and to make things that have value, that people want to buy, or that they want to pay for your time or your expertise, or for the value that you bring the company, or for whatever it is, whatever product it is that you make and sell, or for the labor that you provide, or for any number of things that you specialize in, for the skill that you have when it comes to a certain trade, or that's making yourself a more productive person. Is also, it's not just for attracting the spouse, it's for the whole of your life. It's for you. It's for the whole of your life. It's for you and your community, making you a productive member of society.
It's
going to Israel, definitely.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
I loved that. Being able to walk. Yeah, because before I met you, when I went previously was with my mom on a pilgrimage. And the whole time I was there, I was praying for my future husband. Didn't know it was you. And we were both in Israel at the same time. But anytime I could find a place to put a little piece of paper of a prayer in a hole in a wall, that was me. And that was me praying for you. And then I got to go back with you was surreal.
How about post kids? I'd say Maine was pretty great. Jackson Hole was great.
That one's tough post kids because every milestone with the kids is so special. Birthdays, seeing Gigi at dance class, just little things like that. She did the Trump dance, by the way. I don't even know if I told you that.
I saw
in
it.
Dance class yesterday.
We have lots of questions. Email us freedom@charliekirk.com. How would you tell young married couples who are going to start having families to prepare/ready their marriage for the changes that come with it?
That's a great question. Okay, first and foremost, always remember to put your spouse first.
Get premarital counseling.
Premarital counseling. Put your spouse first.
Save money.
Save money. Oh, instead of investing in a bunch of clothes that they'll grow out of really quickly, they should have a, you know how people do honeymoon funds?
Well, these are young married couples. Got it. Not single ones. Yeah.
Okay. No, that's good.
Yeah.
So instead of doing, you know how they do the honeymoon fund, they should do a fund where it's overnight help if they don't have a family member to help them.
I totally agree. I think that wedding directories, there's so much money wasted. Like, oh, I want a blender. I want a knife. And my experience, most people don't even use all that stuff.
No.
It should just be, give us money. Just give us money, and it will be honeymoon fund or save money fund. We did a honeymoon fund and it was great.
Yeah.
And
it was special.
It was totally special.
Because those memories are way more important than.
So how would you tell young married couples who are going to start having families to ready their marriage for the changes that come with it? Yeah, look, the man has to, I mean, I'll be very honest. The man has to start earning enough money where the wife or the mom does not have to work. And if the man is incapable of doing that, well, then figure it out. Become a man.
Right. More tangible side for a female perspective, make sure that you don't get so hyper fixated on the birth process once you're about to have a child. Like, don't be so fixated and obsessed with, I am going to have a child on my couch, in my living room, free birth, no drugs, and then leave no room for God's will if that totally does not happen. Because I know we had a birth plan, and the only thing that went to plan on that birth plan was that we had a child.
That's right.
Everything else
went
out the window.
We had a great OB. May he rest in peace. Terrible story.
It's so sad.
So what young married couples, look, keep your faith obviously first, and try to identify any fleshly problems that you might be having. So if the wife might have a gossip problem or a spending money problem, or the husband might have an alcohol problem or a pornography problem or a drug problem, don't welcome kids into the world. Well, I shouldn't say you should always welcome kids in the world, but try to get those things settled before you enter kids into the world. So
I think before we go to that next question, I think it's because you mentioned gossip. I think it's really important that women do not gossip to their friends about their husband.
Yeah.
Because first of all, friends can be very unforgiving when it comes to certain things with husband, but what you talk about with your spouse behind closed doors needs to stay there. Goes through one ear and literally ends at the other ear. And you do not share it. You do not repeat it. You have to continually invest in the confidence in one another, that you're on the same team. You support each other. You love each other. You're not going to undercut each other. You are not going to sabotage one another unknowingly because you're trying to impress a friend that you have a husband that does XYZ. And wives, do not compare your husband to other women's husbands. Like, Hank does XYZ so well with a hammer. Well, my husband doesn't do that. Like, what your husband's good at, someone else's husband might not be good at. So just like, love your husband, love him so much that, and understand and hold in your heart that God has put you guys together for a reason to have a beautiful family, and children are a blessing from the Lord. And don't forget your husband in the process, and don't forget your husband in the chaos of having kids. Now we can go to the next question.
No, I totally agree. What is the next? Daisy, I think, sent it.
What should be the order when it comes to God, kids, and marriage, and why? I just kind of
Well, it's God first, then marriage, then
Right.
kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Right.
It is. You get to choose the next one. These are great questions.
The study shows that married women with kids are the happiest. Why do you think that is? I mean, it's just nature. I mean, just becoming a CEO of a shoe company is not going to give you happiness.
Women have it so mixed up. You can have a career after children, but if you try to have a career while you have your kids, there is no such thing as balance. That is such a myth.
I just wanted to address something in the chat from John Bertram, who says, love your husband unless he doesn't earn enough money. That's toxic. That's ridiculous. And I don't hear them saying that. Are there people who live by that? Yes, certainly. There are a lot of toxic people and there's a lot of toxic stuff out there, and toxic advice as well. But that's not what they're saying. He's saying you should be productive and you should you should strive to be the provider of your home so that your children are blessed to grow up in a 2-parent home with both of their parents, where their mom gets to stay at home with them when they're young and raise them, instead of outsourcing that and outsourcing that to someone outside of the home. That's real world, like, practical advice. Yes, Billy, common sense, real world practical advice from such a young couple. It's admirable. It's impressive that they had, to me, it's impressive that they had stuff together at that, at this age, that they were doing this a year ago and at the age they were at. Well, yeah, you should, yes, definitely re-listen to it, John Bertram, because that's not what they said. He was talking about earning enough money. He specifically said, so your wife can stay home with the children and raise the children. Like, that should be a goal to strive towards. That's very different than saying don't love your husband if he doesn't, quote unquote, make enough money. That's not what they said. That's a toxic thing. Tweaker also has a great point. It's not what you earn, it's what you save. Yes, it's what you are smart enough to save. A lot of people are earning, but then spending outside of their means, which is a big problem today. And everything in our culture is geared towards trying to get us to spend more and more and more outside of our means, and tell us we need this and we need that, and you need the latest this thing and the latest of that, and you need. There's a great documentary I've mentioned before, called Buy It Now, I think it's called. And it's about the shopping addiction, the shopping culture that we're in. And it's like the fast fashion culture of, they interview all of these whistleblowers who've left different companies, including Amazon. One of the people who created the Amazon shopping cart, somebody who left, I think it was Adidas or Puma. It was one of those sports, like, shoe companies, where they were talking about how his whole job was geared around convincing you, the consumer, someone who's online, through multiple impressions, that you need to have several different pairs of sneakers instead of just one at a time, like, or that you need to have several different hoodies instead of just one. And this whole idea of, like, you need to continually, spend the money that you're earning. We live in a world that tells us that constantly. Yes, Kiwi, Dave Ramsey is a great person to listen to if you need if you need advice on how to stop overspending. Texas Sheep Lady says the goal of the wife should be to spend less than income. Yes, to be a good, what did it say in Proverbs? Like, to manage the household well and to look over the finances, and definitely don't be spending more than what is coming in. Squat and Pete says, love your spouse and don't let them down. Yes. Don't let them drown. Yes. That's another great. And don't, like Erika was saying, and don't cut them down or run them down or share gossip with your friends about your spouse, or, talk negatively about them.
She gets those little Montessori toys every month, and there's this one that has the buckets that balance. If I put something in one of those buckets, it's going to drop down. And if I try to balance them, both buckets are filled, which is not realistic. I can't spend half of the day doing one thing. I missed out half of that time with being with the kids. So like you have to choose where your heart has to be fully with the home. You have to make that decision on your own, but you can always, after your kids are in school or after they're in high school, you can always go back to work. You can always find a way to get back into the workforce. But if you miss those precious first few years, that is so hard to make up because memories are so much more important than an added paycheck. And look,
it's how God has wired us, and it's our nature, which is to have children, not just have a bigger bank account. Next question. What means the most to Charlie coming home from the battlefield? What means most to Erika when Charlie is at home? I'm not quite sure I understand the question.
I understand the question. Charlie will text me and say, keep things boring.
Yes.
So anyways, keep things boring so that he can be on the battlefield and not be mortified when he comes home.
This is a good one. How much did you guys discuss religion, finances, politics, how to raise children before getting engaged? If I could just chime in on one of them. Men, you should be completely in charge of finances.
I totally agree.
And your wife should have nothing to do with it. I mean, they can have input, but you should release that burden from your wife and just take care of all the money.
I have to say, having to provide for myself as a woman, having to provide for yourself, especially because when I was living in New York City, it all fell on me. It's exhausting. I love the fact that I can relinquish that role to my husband because he's so good at it, but relinquish it to him and say, I trust you so much. I know you're going to help provide for our family. That is one less thing I have to not deal with. I've watched my mom have to deal with that while she had her own business, and she was my mom and dad in one package because my parents got divorced when I was really young. But to be able to relinquish that to you is so liberating. Yep. And I can focus on other things that are way more important because that's your domain and I don't have to worry about it.
And if you are marrying a man that is not capable of completely and totally handling the finances, then you should not marry that man. Finances will break a marriage quicker than anything else, period. But
what if he checks all of the boxes? He just is horrible at money. And you're really good at money.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
Finances, I disagree with him, actually. He says nothing will ruin something faster than finances. I don't think so. I think being unequally yoked will end a marriage faster when you're not on the same page in terms of how you look at the world, like your entire belief system. And you can survive if you have the same beliefs and you are in agreement and equally yoked on the best way to look at the world, what your underlying belief system is, what guides you as a human being. If you guys are aimed towards the same North Star, you can get through the financial difficulties. You can get through those periods. I say this as someone a little older who's just been, who has gotten through financial difficulties with a spouse, who has gotten through periods of, like Erika was talking about, being on her own and what it was like being single and getting through, finances and all that stuff, and then finding someone that you're on the same page with and relinquishing that. It's just you can get through those hurdles. Like people were recommending Dave Ramsey in the chat, as I mentioned, who's a great person to listen to if you need that financial advice on how to clean up your history. Like maybe you have debt, maybe you have things that you haven't taken care of yet, and those things keep you up at night. Like I would definitely recommend Dave Ramsey for that. And you can get through those things together. So yes, Kiwi, 100%, you can make it through anything. I agree. It's funny that he's so unmoving and rigid on this and she's not, because she's like, but what if, the woman is better with finances? And he's like, no. He's a real hard line.
I mean, then all of a sudden you're talking about a reverse. I think then you're talking about very confused gender rules. Then are you going to be a stay-at-home dad? Is that basically what that is?
Okay, but then what about the women that are the ones that write the checks and do the bills? And
good luck.
Yeah.
I mean, it can work. I'm sure it has. But I see those marriages careening for divorce quicker than anything else. Here's why. We as men are hardwired to produce for the family. We find meaning. We find purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Tucker would talk about this all the time. He would like, I'd have the worst day ever, but I'd know that today I'm paying for tuition. Like today, my kids' tuition are being paid for. I can't pay. And for men, we find great purpose in being able to come back home being like, we provided for all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And
hold on. I do not want to knock the stay-at-home dads. I do not. There are some who had to temporary have to switch that role. That happened to my parents a long time ago. Granted, again, they got a divorce, so that probably falls into your bucket. But
I am an anthropologist.
But my dad was a stay-at-home dad for a few years. And I got to say, it was really sweet and really special. I was 4, but that was... Of
course, it's not an indictment of the morality.
No, but if you're saying from the get-go, I want to be a stay-at-home...
It is a imbalance. Dad. It's an imbalance of nature. And some people are able to juggle imbalances of nature. But...
your husband has to...
There are always outliers. That's the thing. Yes. Like Kiwi says, my best friend does all the finances because her husband's a doctor. And so he's super busy. Yeah. There's always outliers. And it's funny, as much as at the beginning they were saying Erika's the more conservative one, but he seems to be more conservative on this. Conservative meaning rigid in terms of, although he did just allow for outliers there, but she kind of had to press him on it to see what he thought. Yeah. Yes, exactly, Billy. Being the provider does not necessarily mean being the good money manager.
Be the one that goes out into the world and builds and battles and comes home, conquers, comes home, and is like, this is my nest egg. This is what I worked so hard for. And the wife is like, welcome home, babe. Whatever you need,
financial burdens should not be brought into the concern of the wife. It should.
Well, then it bleeds into the kids, and the kids are like, "Oh, I can't afford to do this."
Why am I being so firm on this? Because I know the number one reason why people cheat on their wives and why divorce happens is financial. It is number one. It is the number one thing. It collapses and breaks apart marriages more than anything else. And so, if you have a husband that leads in it, and it's not that again.
I don't think it's financial. I would disagree there. It goes back to Ephesians, the verse they were talking about earlier, and that we were looking at about here. I still have it pulled up. Here. Ephesians 5:21. Submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. Wives, submit yourselves to your own husbands as you do to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church, his body, of which he is the Savior. Now as the church submits to Christ, so also wives should submit to their husbands in everything. Husbands, love your wives, just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her to make her holy, cleansing her by the washing with water through the word, and to present her to himself as a radiant church without stain or wrinkle or any other blemish, but holy and blameless. In this same way, husbands ought to love their wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself. After all, no one ever hated their own body, but they feed and care for their body just as Christ does the church, for we are members of his body. For this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. This is a profound mystery, but I am talking about Christ and the church. However, each one of you also must love his wife as he loves himself, and the wife must respect her husband. So I think in the majority of cases where all around us, you see marriages falling apart and infidelity, and if you go to any relationship advice show like Dr. Laura or John Deloney and you listen to the stories, or if you go to, God forbid, if you go to Reddit and see just the wreckage of the secular world and the secular religion, it seems to me that Ephesians 5 comes to mind when you think about why marriages fail, and in that it's the woman is either not respecting the husband, and the husband is designed or evolved, but designed, in my opinion, to to need that respect from his wife. The wife is either not respecting the husband or the husband is not loving the wife. And I believe the wife is designed, created to, or evolved to need that love, that adoration. And so it's one of those two. Think about it. Like, it's usually the man is going off looking for respect because he's not getting it from his wife, or the woman is going off looking for love because she feels like she's not getting it from her husband. I don't think it's a financial thing, like he's saying. I would disagree with him on that. So, but it's interesting how he views it as all related to who is providing and controlling the finances. Yeah, insecurities, Billy. And I would say I think insecurities based on how we are designed to work together, man and woman.
Comes easy to me, but guys, don't borrow money. You just start with that principle. You're not going to have any credit card debt. No, you can use credit cards, just pay them off every month. And the only other debt that's acceptable is a mortgage payment. If you just start with that principle, you're going to be in a much better spot.
But how? What if the guy comes from nothing and doesn't know where to start?
Then he shouldn't be getting married. And then he's a boy. Boys should not get married.
I love you.
I love you too. But it's true. I mean, if you are not capable of providing for a wife or a family, then you should take some time before you get married. You got to figure yourself out. You got to get a skill. You got to get disciplined. You have to get...
There's a season for everything.
Yeah.
And I know that for some young girls out there, or even older women who are still looking for their human, a season of waiting is to encourage you to just continue to trust God's timing. And if you're in a season of pruning, that's probably because God's trying to refine you. And if you're in a season of fruitfulness, then enjoy that and embrace that.
I will add to that men have a much longer horizon of waiting than women.
Mm-hmm.
And what men need to get equipped for actually might not be as natural. Women can make very good mothers with almost no like training. It's
Mm-hmm.
just at 23, 24, women can make good mothers.
I don't know about that. That's hit or miss.
Yeah, I don't know about
because
that
some
either.
women will they have to be equipped for it too, and their hearts prepared for it, or else they're gonna stick their kid in front of cuckoo melon. What is it? Cocoa melon? What is it? Miss Rachel? Oh, her voice kills me. Those shows for hours. But they have to be prepared for it too. You have to, again, equally yoked, right?
Equally yoked.
Next question. How would you wait well for a spouse?
First of all, this is more of like a health standpoint. Get your blood work done every 6 months.
Don't have sex before you get married.
Don't have sex before you get married. Really be intentional about growing down before you grow up and out, meaning make sure that your heart is so rooted in Christ. Make sure that you're reading the Bible every single day. Make sure that you're in a position where you're living your life that he has to seek God in order to even be able to touch the slightest bit of your heart, and make sure that you are taking good care of yourself. Again, don't dress well. Don't try. You're not going to attract someone if you're not looking your best. Not saying you have to look like you're on a red carpet every single day, but take care of yourself. If you can't afford to get your nails and hair done, that's fine. There's still ways to make yourself look like you care about. I'm not saying from a prideful standpoint, but be
I don't get my nails or hair done. It's not a matter of cost. I just don't care about, I don't know, nails. Occasionally I will get a pedicure, but it's been maybe a couple of years. Like, so you don't have to be a girly girl who spends money on that stuff. You don't. You can cut your hair yourself if you want to. You can also, I do occasionally treat myself to, there's a wonderful hairstylist, a young mom in our church. And so I am looking forward to seeing her soon. But the point being, you can take care of yourself and not look like a slob. And what did she say earlier? Not look like Adam Sandler without going in with the whatever is the modern day beauty stuff. The modern day beauty stuff, a lot of it is just the same consumer culture stuff that we were talking about before. They're just in your head, especially TikTok and videos and stuff, telling young girls like, you need to wear lots of makeup. You need to, and half of the young girls I see today look like drag queens. They look like women they look like men who are trying to look like women. They are women, but they look like women who look like men who are trying to look like women because of the way they're doing their makeup. They're just like the crazy caked on stuff and, the fake nails and all the whole gamut. It just, I don't know, personal preference. I'm not knocking you if that's your bag and it looks great on some women. I can't do that. So that's me. You don't have to spend money on all that stuff. And it doesn't have to be a matter of like, you can't afford it. As she's saying, it could be a matter of choice. If you have the money, you can still say, I'm not spending it on that stuff. Anyway.
Grateful that God gave you the body he gave you. Be grateful that you're healthy. If you're not healthy, that you have doctors in your life to help get you there. Just constantly be grateful. There's always something to be grateful for, and just find a way to be able to get yourself in the proper mindset and headspace of knowing that you are so intentional about this time and you're in a stream of significance rather than focusing on what everyone else has. And you are in a position where when and if the man has sought you out and he will tell you, I am intentional about this. I'm not trying to beat around the bush. I want to date you and I want to marry you. When it's that type of guy, you will know and you'll be ready. You won't say, oh, I don't know about this. Like, you will be prepared. Just take care of yourself. Take care of yourself.
I agree. I think we have one more.
Okay. Just since we got on this side subject of women and young women and grooming and aesthetics and all this, Kiwi says too much fake eyelashes everywhere. Yes, that's the other thing. A lot of young women don't realize it wasn't like this when we were coming up. It wasn't like this for our mothers and for our grandmothers and great grandmothers and great greats. Like, we weren't used to seeing this stuff presented as normal, and now it's presented as normal. And I wonder what that's doing. I wonder sometimes what that's doing to young people, where they start to think that this is what women look like or something, that with the fake eyelashes and all the fillers and all the like the drag queen makeup and the fake nails and just fake everything. And I think I just do wonder sometimes if it starts to be like that's what you think is the norm. If that's what you're seeing all the time, think about it. If that's what you're learning when you're a child from looking at women around you, if all the women around you look like that, they're putting a lot of time into all that fakeness. That maybe that starts to seem normal. And I'm talking about like the clownish over the top lashes and drag queen makeup and stuff like that. One of the senior who I was helping with her senior thesis this year, which I've mentioned before because I had a lot of fun doing it with classical conversations. She was doing her paper on beauty standards, and some of the research she was reading, some of the stuff that she was including in her paper was about imprinting, which is it's basically where the young learn from what they see around them. So, and some of this gets passed down over time. There's evidence that obviously there are things that are in your DNA that you haven't personally learned, but that has been passed down through previous generations. For example, I've heard Jordan Peterson give this example before. When a baby monkey sees a snake for the first time, it recoils, like it knows that that is a predator, even though it's never seen a snake before. It has, if you don't believe in God and you don't believe in creation, let's say you believe in evolution. So you're like, it evolved to be afraid of that snake. It's in the DNA, right? Well, and from a Christian perspective, it was created to be afraid, like that is in the DNA, that is in the makeup, to be afraid of that predator. And so anyway, the point being, I do wonder, and the young person I was working with on her senior thesis was wondering in the paper, like, what does this do to the younger generation to look around and see all of this fake aesthetic, I guess, is these over exaggerated, like super stimuli, like the biggest eye makeup and the biggest lips and the biggest of everything. What is that doing to a whole generation? I don't know. We'll see. I guess we'll see.
Okay.
Do you want to pick the last one?
No, I want you to.
Okay. Oh, what do you think about schooling for kids? What are you planning on doing?
We will be homeschooling, especially in the beginning. At first, I will be honest, at first I was horrified thinking I am horrible at math and geometry, but I'm excited to some extent. I'm excited. And this is why I think that women lose a portion of their brain capacity after every single kid. It's because then you get excited to homeschool your kids and you get to relearn everything all over again. And you're excited about learning about triangles and
Yes.
octagons.
I can imagine
and
that. Yeah.
proper grammar all over again because you have that brain space to do it and you're excited. So we will be homeschooling. Plus, we want to travel with the kids. And plus, to be honest with you, I do not want to deal with kids going up to either of our children and being like, I hate you because of your father.
Eventually, once they get old enough, they'll get into school.
Right,
Maybe
exactly.
6th, 7th, 8th grade, maybe. But
Okay. Speaking of schooling and constantly learning, you guys know that Charlie, some of you know this, that Charlie did not go to college, that he made the decision to become an entrepreneur after high school, and he is self-taught. He ended up taking, I believe he took more of the Hillsdale classes than anyone, if I'm remembering that correctly, Hillsdale College. And they have a page on their site. You can take these classes for free. It's pretty incredible. If you don't care about the credentials, if you're actually there just to learn and not about like, oh, I want to do this as part of a degree or something. You're just there to learn. Look at all of these courses. Let's see. Oh, it opens to another tab. I'm going to take some of these this year. I'm excited. They have a whole catalog and you can go into philosophy, history, politics, literature, economics, fine arts, mathematics, natural sciences. They have all these different courses. And he, I believe, set the record for taking the most number of their classes. So I just thought of that. I had that pulled up because I was going to share that earlier and I had forgotten. Tweet Girl says, my dad was an autodidact as well. Self-taught, right? Yes. Okay. I'm gonna share this clip, and this is a clip where Charlie's talking about he was always giving advice. I think he was, he cared a lot about college age kids and about what they were learning or not learning in college, and he was always sharing advice for people younger than himself. And so here's a clip where he's talking about young men and young women.
So other than like your advice to young men, what do you think that us as a society could do to kind of steer young boys and Gen Z men to like a better path than this like very indulgent lifestyle of like constantly getting girls and like using women for.
Well, and can I just interrupt you for a second? It goes both ways. So on the other side, radical feminism tells girls to get as many sexual partners as you can to go sow your oats. And basically what the feminists have done is like every 19-year-old boy's dream, is that every girl is easy and accessible and you don't have to work to go get sex. In the way it should be, a boy should have to become a very mature, very sophisticated person to get to the point of sex. So the boy doesn't have to grow up to get what he wants anymore. And so a lot of this is on women who have basically become pseudo OnlyFans models, going around selling themselves for basically for no price whatsoever, because free sex will liberate you. Let me say this as gently as I can. Free sex drives young women insane. The more sexual partners a young woman has in college, the more likely she is to be clinically depressed on antidepressants, because sex for men is totally different than sex for women. Sex for women is emotional attachment. It is relational. It is not transactional and is not purely physical. For whatever reason, the way men were designed and wired, they could have sex with 9 people over 2 weeks and just like, okay, whatever. Like, it's not that big of a deal. It's completely different for young women. And so we have told young women through this hyper feminist model, go act like men. And a lot of people end up severely depressed. The final thing I'll say is this, is that education is incredibly feminine in its approach.
I wanted to add something to what he's saying there about the woke world, the woke religion, and the feminist part of it, and the message, the messed up message that they give young women in particular. Young men are also getting a messed up message in this culture. But young women are getting a messed up message, like he said, that's basically, you know, go and be sexually liberated and have lots of sex outside of marriage and all this. Women, it's not just that like he said, women are more likely to end up depressed from doing this, and to have more mental health issues from doing this. But women also form, because your body is releasing oxytocin, the bonding hormone, when you're having sex. And so women are forming emotional bonds and emotional attachments to their sexual partners. And sometimes this results in women, maybe this has happened to you or someone you know, or maybe you've seen it play out on the public stage somewhere, but women oftentimes, if they're having sex before marriage, they can think that they have fallen in love with someone. I put that in quotes, fallen in love, or maybe they have fallen in love with someone who they should not be falling in love with, with someone who is going to make a very bad husband and a very bad father, and someone who they should not be bonding with emotionally and on this spiritual and physical level, like with this oxytocin being released, like actually bonding themselves to this person and feeling like they're in love with them. And it can cause a lot of poor decision making. It's starting with the bad decision to have the sex before marriage, but then leading to other bad decisions. Hello. Like I've women who've lived in the secular world like myself, you know, this is true. You know, we've made a lot of bad decisions. Those of us who've been out in the world for a long time before we found Christ, like this is true. And so that's one thing he didn't say there, but it's not just that casual sex causes more depression or can lead to more depression. It can also lead to really bad life choices because you think you're in love.
And also in its staffing. 75% of teachers before 8th grade are women. Nothing against women teachers, but this is a truism of life. Young men don't like taking orders from women. I'm sorry, it's just a fact of life. Young men need strong men to say, stop it, be better. And they will sit down and shut up when a man tells them. And so, especially one that has their act together. So all that to say, we need more strong biblical men that have their act together to actually get involved in young men's lives. And women, for the love of everything holy and good, stop giving your body away to every man that wants it and save yourself for marriage. You are the supply of the problem. So it's both sides. If women were far more careful and pious with their sexual choices, men would follow. If all of a sudden the supply side of this equation would be like, actually, sorry, you have to date me seriously and get married to have sex with me. All of a sudden, men would be like, well, I better get my act together. I better get a job. Men will react to the signal of sex quicker than women will. Because young men, especially 19, 20 years old, that's all they think about all day. Sports and sex, what they think about all day long. And for young women, they're like, what do you mean? Like, there's no way. Like, no, honestly, this is a hilarious, true study. Harvard University put 20 men in a room alone, no phones, no TV, no newspapers. They stared at a wall. They put 20 women in a room. They asked the men, what did you think about? I think about sports and sex the entire time. Okay. They asked women, what did you think about? They said, oh, we were replaying conversations that we had earlier in the last couple of days. It is very rare that a man will ever replay a conversation in the history. Like, we're very forward thinking. And finally, we are very macro. Men are macro thinkers. Women are micro thinkers. That is why if you sit down with somebody on campus, that is a woman, she's probably talking about the grades in her class, her relationships, her friends, or things that people said to her. You sit down to a man on campus, he's talking about his crypto wallet, whether or not his DraftKings account is in the surplus or in a deficit, and whether or not, Donald Trump is going to take Greenland. The most macro thing imaginable. We are wired differently, and it's time for our educational system to reflect.
That one was great. Okay. I could sit here watching these all day. If you haven't seen, now I pulled just some about young people, about faith, about family, about dating, about marriage. But there are so many more where he gets into the nitty-gritty of politics, obviously, and policy decisions and opinions. And one of the biggest, I know I've covered this before, but I thought I would just mention it since there might be, like I said, some leftists who see this, and maybe it's the first time they've ever seen a Charlie Kirk clip. There are many where he talks about the things that you guys probably heard taken out of context and that he got smeared with after his assassination. There are some where if you get into the nitty gritty of what he talks about, the Civil Rights Act, for example, please go and listen to him, listen to exactly what he said about the Civil Rights Act, which is that it had noble intentions and that it's been misused. And he gets into the nitty gritty of the ways in which it is misused and currently being abused. And it's pretty similar, I think, to the recent, like the abuses that we've seen of the Voters' Rights Act, which relate to the recent Supreme Court decision about the interpretation of the Voters' Rights Act. Anyway, we could have done a political episode about Charlie Kirk clips, and I chose instead to just pull some clips about faith and family and the founding of our country. But I do encourage you, if it was your first time hearing him, to please go and listen to any of the things that you think you have opinions about his opinions. If you've never actually listened to his opinions on those things, go and listen to his opinions so you can know. So your opinion can be based on something and not simply a received opinion that someone gave you. That's it. Okay. Oh, hey, thanks, Randy Wallen, for $20 for the super chat. Thank you so much. Good to see you. Think I'm going to get to see you at my husband's show later, which will be fun. Also, Squat and Pete earlier said, I was just talking with my son about Charlie and Turning Point, and I did not know that he watches Charlie stuff. So happy. That's really cool. And then Kiwi earlier said for us to check out the Patriot Academy in Constitution City, which is right by Comfort, Texas. I've never heard of the Patriot Academy. I will look it up. I love Comfort, Texas. My husband plays music there quite a bit. So we'll look it up. Anyway, thank you guys for being here. I hope you have a great weekend, and I will see you next week. I'll see you on Monday at 2:00 at the regular time. Take care. Bye-bye.